First, let me just to say that NURTW is like any other union. It has its own laws to which the members subscribe. It has its own ways of doing the things. It has its own politics. And Lagos State government is not interested in NURTW politics at all. All we are interested in is peace for Lagosians, so that NURTW activities don't begin to become agents of chaos in Lagos. We don't want that. Recently, members of NURTW, they marched on the governor's lodge and complained that they were not getting their own fair share of recognition from the national headquarters in Abuja, and that in actual fact they would not want to be members of NURTW anymore. And the government told them to just take it easy, and all we want in Lagos is peace and tranquility, so that we don't want anybody to come and cause chaos in Lagos. And they went away. A few days after, we had the news that NURTW national body has suspended the chairman of the Lagos chapter. And the Lagos chapter chairman, in an attempt to fight back, he now said, well, if you have suspended me, I am no longer a member of your union, and I am pulling out all my members. And the government saw this, that it could cause security problems, and the government moving swiftly to announce that activities of NURTW are suspended at parks and garages all over Lagos.
Okay.
And that is the situation that we have now. Now, we do not want anybody claiming to be members of NURTW running the parks in Lagos. A committee is going to be set up that will handle the affairs of all the parks in Lagos, so that Lagosians can go about their businesses without any fear of chaos, without any fear of violence, without any fear of fighting anywhere because of NURTW. NURTW is something that is of concern to so many people. It is understandable because they operate in a sector that is as relevant to everybody living in Lagos, transportation. That is why I think they have such influence on what goes on around Lagos in terms of peace on the road and all of that. But besides that, I do not see NURTW as a special union at all. It's like any other union of artisans, of barbers, of carpenters, of any organization of people that you can think of.
The only difference perhaps is that in fact I understand this reasoning, whether barbers, whether vulcanizers and all those kind of things. But those other trades, crafts, they are actually that, a trade or craft. This is not, this NURTW, the way their activity has been known to Lagosians, they don't see it as a particular craft, because all they're doing is just collecting dues, and people can see what's going on. People can see the stupendous, ostentatious lifestyle that these people are living. That is, they are the headship, simply because they collect tolls. People really are wondering what is their use. And the point I wanted to make earlier, before I sort of almost forgot, is that all those other crafts and trades that you spoke about, they don't have a political implication. The Association of Barbers in Lagos State, for instance, is not going to affect the political fortunes of this place. But those people, it is thought, have been empowered in such a way that they've become a force. And now that they've been suspended by the national body, of course, it's uncomfortable for them. But when Lagos State made the statement, it seemed to me that Lagos State is saying, fine, if this is what the headquarters has said from Abuja, so be it, we're running with that. Is that the proposition? Lagos State is running with that and saying that what you've just said, we don't want any trouble in Lagos. Can we just follow the due process? And for now, those people are not reckoned with in Lagos anymore. Can one go as far as saying that?
You see, it was like a stalemate. The national headquarters said we are suspending the chairman of the Lagos chapter. The chairman of the Lagos chapter said, if you are suspending me, you can as well go away with your union. I'm not following you anymore.
If
so
he
all
does
the
that,
members,
he can't operate in Lagos. Can any person operate on their own individual personal say so? Say I, for instance, I am MC Oluomo, for example. Is that enough?
You see, what I'm saying about NURTW is that it's like any other, it is registered. People who are members, they joined out of their own volition. And if the union says this is our way, we have to do this, we have to pay levies and all that, and they are paying without being forced to, government has no problem with that.
Okay.
Where we have a problem is that if you now say because you are any union, NURTW or whatever it is so called, and then you say your activities will now disturb businesses in Lagos, people will now be going about in fear of whatever may come from you because you are a unionist. That is what the government doesn't want. That was why the government moved in there to say that no more activities of NURTW at parks. We are not supporting any side, whether it's Abuja or Lagos. All we are after is peace. All we are after is harmony. All we are after is the quietness that Lagos is known for, so that people can be able to go about their business without any fear.
Okay, because people will be sending these messages up and down. In fact, I think I saw one yesterday or day before yesterday where WhatsApp, there's all sorts of things going on. As people were saying, be careful as you go out because it is thought that. So these spurious messages are going out, creating fear. But so it would be helpful to know. I've heard exactly what you said, but so how is the union being run? Well, I don't think it's fair to call it to say how is the union being run. What is government doing to make sure that there is no vacuum in the way these people are organized? I suppose principally all of this is the dues that are being collected. What is government's plan?
The government's plan is to set up a committee of stakeholders, people who know the ABC of that sector, who will move in there and take over the running of the motor parks and garages, so that people will not come and say because we are members of NURTW and our members are the people operating in parks, we have to do this, we have to do that. So that some of the acts of violence associated and lawlessness associated with such operations at parks, and then especially the animosity between the headquarters and the Lagos chapter. We don't want a spillover of that to the streets where people will begin to panic, we begin to move about in fear. We don't want that. So there is going to be a past committee which is being put together that is going to move into the place and run the place in a modern way, in a way that it will not give anybody any headache.
So this is a work in progress, is it then? This committee of stakeholders that you spoke about.
Yeah.
Stakeholders would be what? Who are the stakeholders in this kind of a case? Because I imagine we want to take NURTW. I don't know the extent whether you want them in or out, but stakeholders, you're talking about the owners, road transport organizers. Who would be the stakeholders in a case like this?
You will agree with me that it's a very large sector, very large and important sector, and specialized sector too. Anybody who is, say somebody like you, a journalist, you do not know the workings of the motor parks, how they are run, how they do their activities there. All you know is for you to just stay in your newsroom and do your job. So there are people too who are specialists in that area, they are experts who have been in transport sector for years. Those are the stakeholders that we are talking about. Law enforcement officers and the rest of them who are familiar with the ABC of motor parks. Okay,
so we have to wait a bit to find out so who exactly is in charge of the informal transportation sector as was handled by the unions before. We will know that in due course, right?
Right, in the coming days.
But in the meantime, is action continuing as usual? If NURT at the headquarters said no more to Mr. Oluomo, MC Oluomo, as his activities under his general direction, that is collecting of tolls, have they stopped in the meantime, or is it carrying on very much the way things were? Is government observing those things? Is government interested in those aspects of whether or not the NURT in Lagos is continuing? Because they have been they've been fighting even within them. If anything, if we can believe what we read in the press, there are sectors of their informal union that are even quarreling and arguing among themselves.
Well, what the government has done is to tell the security agencies to look into the parks. They should open their eyes and ensure that activities of NURTW are stopped as the government has pronounced. And so far, so good. Such activities, from the reports we are getting, have stopped.
Okay.
Where people have not stopped, arrests have been made. So the police are on top of the situation and they are watching everybody. Okay. But don't forget the most important thing that I've spoken of. The government moved in to say, hey, we don't want any trouble. And that is the target of the government, that there should be no trouble coming from NURTW.
That there should be
in Lagos.
Peace, you know. So all these mysterious pictures, what you see on, especially on WhatsApp in the Lagos area, of people running helter-skelter, and you're wondering what is this, and then later there will be no caption to those kind of video reports, video clips, and then but later on, you know, piecing things together, they say, oh, it was the transport union or
it's unfortunate that many of our people take our news from the social media.
Unfortunate.
And there is, on the social media, there's so much misinformation, there is no regulation, there is just a laissez-faire attitude. Everybody doing whatever they like without even thinking about the consequences of all of those things that they send out.
Exactly.
There is nobody who is going to gain if the whole place is up in panic, because people just woke up in the morning and begin to send messages around saying you should wash your steps today,
yes,
you should do this. All those things are not good for business. They are not good for even our mental stability. For people to just be sending us messages in the morning that there could be violence and all of that, raising false alarm just because you have access to a telephone. I think people should begin to question all those people who send out all those things. I mean,
well, you won't know, because that's another thing. Talking about social media and what the communication process has now become, where anybody whatsoever can just get up. As you know, many people know there's a broadcast feature on WhatsApp, so they'll just broadcast to hundreds at the same time. And people, unfortunately, get these messages, and the first thing they do is to forward it on. So it becomes that kind of thing. So I was wondering, you're a professional journalist, you know, you're one of those, you know, how did this friend of ours say it? A professional in politics. You're a journalist, you're a working journalist. Is that why you probably feel there is no need, because I'm now asking you as the commissioner in Lagos, you see all these messages that other Lagosians are subjected to. Is it part of your training say, I won't deign to even comment on rubbish, on fake news? Meanwhile, it is being spread. Is there not a need for you, meaning your office, to come in and immediately douse all of these dubious reports when people are seen running around and in panic? Because I imagine people would also share as, you know, profusely as the bad message, that don't mind them. This is directly from information department in Lagos. They say don't worry about it, that there is no such thing. And if there is a short explanation, it will be said that this is it. And then you can spread this around. Of course, you're an expert, so you know a lot more about this, you know, especially how to relate between government and the public.
Of course, we do a lot of that. When we see that there is a piece of information in town being circulated on the social media, and that such information can cause panic or disrupt activities in Lagos, we come out to write to say that Lagosians should disregard such information that is not coming from credible sources. But like I said, people should learn to take their information from credible sources. All the newspapers in town, they have also they are online. You can go online and check certain things.
Yeah.
You can go online and check Lagos State government website and check whether this is true or not. The police are more open than they used to be now, so you can check through them. But so for people to just say forwarded as received and all such
exactly.
street jargons,
copied.
Yeah, it's not right.
Okay.
People should ask themselves questions whether if they press the forward button, the consequences of such actions.
Exactly.
So it's for all of us to come together and say no to misinformation, say no to people who call themselves analysts who are actually anarchists, who want to cause trouble in the society, or who just want everything grounded.
Okay, but you did say that you do it from time to time.
Sure. When we feel that it's important for us to say this is fake news, we do that.